Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure, and obviously we are working on the 1985 TRX 250. This is the trailer park four-wheeler, and in this video we're going to fab up the key switch and we're going to give the carburetor a quick clean. Okay, you could do some really nice fabrication work, you know, $10 worth of Harbor Freight grinder here. Now what I want to do is I don't want to remove all that much material from here before I drill the hole, but I do kind of want to figure out where I want to put that hole. And to do that I'm gonna want to just kind of cut the corner off here. That way I could get it somewhere close and I can know more or less what I'm up to. So I think you guys could see that little cut made quite a bit of difference. I'm going to continue to form this. I got to straighten this edge, and I just kind of want to get it a little closer before once again I drill the hole. Okay, now I formed it a little bit. You guys could kind of see how it settles in here. Now there's two ways this could be done. I can cut out a square, you know, here so that we could see those, but it's not going to leave, I don't think it's going to leave enough plastic. I think I'll end up with troubles. If I was going to replace these perhaps with the 12-volt LED models, you know, green and red, you know, the little round button type, right? Those basils, whatever, would help hold this in place, plus put the key switch. I mean, that would be absolutely perfect. But I don't have those handy, so I'm going to leave these. So eventually what I'm going to do is just cut this, but at this point I'm ready to put the hole in it. One starts out with an 1/8 inch hole that normally works the best. And just to be sure that I put it where I want to put it, right, I think you guys can see the hole right there. There we are. Okay, here we go. This is only a little bit sketchy. So I find the step bit, backing it up with wood behind it, works the best. And I'm just going to keep stepping the hole bigger and bigger until it fits properly. I just need to drill a little bigger and it'll go right in. Here we have it, just a matter of cutting into shape and just the way we want it. So here we have it. Now it's just a matter of installing it, but right, exactly what one wants. These are just sheet metal screws. They're not self-tapping, but they're used to when you do steel framing, and you want to leave them hanging out like that, so if anybody puts their finger under your dashboard, they can leave DNA. Now it's just a matter of installing it. So as I'm putting it together, I ran across a little problem. Oh yeah, we're talking fire and smoke. So here we are. What do you guys think, right? Reverse, neutral, off, just the way we want it. It is time to spend a few minutes on the carburetor here. So it looks like I just have to take that out. It should slide right off and we should be able to get in there. Hey tubers, welcome back. What we're going to do is a rebuild on this carburetor. This is a clone carb for a Honda 250X. It's made by OEM standard. Actually looks like a halfway decent carb. I mean, one's got to take the cable out first. So you take these two out, pop the plastic cover, and the cable goes through here, screws on. You just got to take a little torque off of that, pop the eyelet, and it's out. Next thing you want to do is pull the bowl off. To do that, the fuel pump has to come out, so right, many screws. I'm gonna go through the trouble of showing it to you just in case there's something interesting in here that'll fall out and get lost. Now this carburetor is flooding, which obviously you can't have. By the way, there's a spring and so forth that just launched. See the top of it? I'm not seeing the spring just yet. So that's the first thing you got to watch out for. Right, try not to launch that. This is for adjusting the idle speed. That has to come loose. Once again, do your best not to launch things. Right, that shows poor form. In other words, I just showed poor form. Yeah, I'm not seeing the spring. I wonder where it took off to. I think you would be amazed at the distance some of these pieces go. I might have to do some magnet fishing to find it. It's always a good idea to keep a 50 or 100 pound magnet in the garage just in case you need to kind of fish around and figure out where it went to. The other thing you want to pay attention to is when you stand up that you don't feel a crunch under your feet. You've just flattened the spring and now it can't be used anymore. Okay, so this is the last screw. The bowl is about to come off. Now, I ran this thing with a fuel filter, a good fuel filter. As a matter of fact, enough fuel filter with a gas flow into it, if one was really out there romping, would probably not be enough. Okay, so let's get this off of here and see what we come up with. It's actually pretty clean. Seems to be moving without too much trouble. I just pulled the pin. Well, that's weird. It looks like somebody was already in there. This is kind of flared a little bit. That jet's a little flared. You know what? I think, well, I'm already in here. I think I'm going to do the jets and everything. Alright, hang on. Whenever one has a flooding carburetor, this is the rubber stopper that when the float comes up, this is pushed in to a little hole and that stops the gas flow. But, you know, occasionally I've found debris on that little rubber stopper. I'm having a tough time showing it to you. But typically what I find is these little wings. There are a few of them on here. I find that they get material on them that makes this needle valve stick, right? So it can't move back and forth. Anyway, I typically give those a little scrape. The cheaper the carburetor, I think the worse material they use for this the body of this valve, and the more it has a tendency to rust or have material get deposit on it. So there are typically 4 wings. Hopefully I'm showing that to you. And you just want to make sure they're nice and clean. I also take a Q-tip, dip it in solvent, and make sure the this typically rides up and down in a brass fitting, a hole drilled in a brass fitting. I also make sure that there's no deposits on that. Just to give you an idea how far that spring went, it went from there to right there. I think you can see it alongside the leg. So approximately 5 feet. Alright, let's take a look at some of the jets. This is the main jet. I loosened it already. And to be honest with you, it looks good. It looks clear. Doesn't look like one even wants to fool with it. So that's already out. That's the main. Here's the idle. You got to pay a little attention on some of these. You don't want to lose anything. You know what? That one looks good too. And lastly, this is the idle mixture. I already brought it in snug. It took 5 half turns, 2.5 full turns. So I already know that for adjusting it later. Now everybody does this a little different. This is a really a low mileage carburetor, low use carburetor. Its problem, see, I'm trying to, you don't want to lose that spring. So I think just a little cleaning will bring it back and make it nice and happy again. Let's get this off of here. Have to use some spring. So I'm just gonna run solvent through the through here, through there, through there. Then I'm gonna flip it over, just a quick solvent blast. I'm not going to go too crazy with this. I'm not quite sure why it was sticking. Probably I'll get a Q-tip, give that a little cleaning just to make sure. Though there is one thing that it's wise to check. This is the needle valve. When sometimes right along the edge here, hopefully I have enough magnification, sometimes it gets a little stuff on that, so I'll give those a quick scraping. But all in all, it doesn't look good. I'm gonna blast some solvent through it and put it back together. The carb rebuild is done, and I already put it back on. So I filled it up with fuel here, and you can see it's not going down. That's what I really wanted to do, to make sure that I'm not leaking. Anyway, I'll set up the camera, and I think we'll give this thing a start. Okay, here we go. So, choke on, key on, and I like it. Probably already low on gas. Still has a little bit of that whirl sound here. So I might have to break into this one and change the starter clutch also. Turn the choke on, let it run itself out of gas. Maybe if I ride it a little bit, little oil will get to that one-way clutch. Sounds pretty good. Quiet it down. Does keep the rodents out though. Alright, I think I'm going to call this video here. Take note, no smoke. And considering I'm running chainsaw oil in it, or premix, that's pretty good. Sounds nice. Boy, we should be riding this in no time. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for dropping by to watch and comment and subscribe. Please remember to keep your feet down, your heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.